Coming up, salmonella strikes. More than 40 in the Midlands are poisoned by a countrywide outbreak.
The football club told to pay up or go bust. But what next for Hereford United?
And the vinyl countdown for these rare records. ITV News Central at 6 o'clock. Coming up, 1 month on and more protesters pitch up in support of Stafford Hospital. Details coming up next.
The national and international headlines are on the way after the news where you are now on ITV.
Hello, welcome to ITV News Central. On the programme tonight. Salmonella strikes. More than 40 in the Midlands are poisoned by a countrywide outbreak.
1 month on, more protesters pitch up in support of saving Stafford Hospital's services.
It saved my life, really. I've been here for 14 years and I wouldn't be here without it.
Pop in the park. Welly wearers descend for the V Festival.
But if you like your music to last, how about 75,000 records going at £1 a piece?
Good evening. More than 40 people who've been infected with salmonella are being linked to an outbreak around the country.
43 people in the West Midlands have caught the bug. 34 of those were connected to Heartlands Hospital. Well, our correspondent Mark Goff joins us in the studio. So, Mark, tell us more.
Well, the public health officials have started this nationwide investigation into this outbreak of salmonella. But what they're saying is there have been several isolated cases over the months, including here in the West Midlands, which we thought were isolated. But now, apparently, they're linked together, and they've been in Hampshire, Cheshire, Merseyside, and as you say here, 34 cases linked to Heartlands Hospital, although 43 people in the West Midlands who are infected in total. Interestingly, they've also found cases of this in Austria and France, the same strain as in this country. Now, back in June, we told you about the salmonella outbreak at Heartlands Hospital. It's not clear tonight if it's those cases in June which are now being linked to this national investigation. We're still waiting for an official word from Heartlands Hospital. So, basically, what's the potential source is what they're looking at now. Well, 32 people who ate at what's been described as an Oriental restaurant in Hampshire got salmonella. 31 people who used an Oriental takeaway in Cheshire got salmonella. So, what they're obviously looking at is perhaps potentially a single food source. Quite how that relates to the cases at Heartlands, again, is unclear tonight. But lawyers in Birmingham are representing some of those people who've been affected by eating at those restaurants.
The majority of the cases where we've been instructed by clients centre around potential food poisoning issues. So investigations will primarily centre on what the health and hygiene measures were in the establishments where the people have fallen ill. That is the most common cause of salmonella, so we suspect that that will be the centre of our investigations.
So, Mark, just remind us more about what salmonella actually is.
Yeah, it can cause food poisoning, pretty bad food poisoning as well. You know, sickness, diarrhoea, they're the symptoms. Most people recover on their own. You've got to keep hydrated, drink lots of water. If you have got to, contact your GP. I think when we reported it last in June, they said don't actually go to your GP, you don't want to spread the disease, but contact them by telephone. It can be more dangerous in people who've got gastric conditions already, and in fact, it can be fatal. So if you go to the bathroom, go to the toilet, wash your hands. Personal hygiene is the key here. If you're handling foods, wash your hands. Take great care.
OK, Mark, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you. Now, it's exactly a month since campaigners occupied land outside Stafford Hospital. They're there to fight plans to remove services from the hospital.
Well, the protesters say they'll stay for as long as it takes. They're even planning Christmas there. Our correspondent Keith Wilkinson spent last night with them.
We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand.
1 month on, and there's no sign of the protesters leaving the grounds of Stafford Hospital. They say they'll stay until they've won their fight to save services here.
That we shall overcome someday. For this lovely hospital. Thank you very much. Keep it open, please.
We have the top health service in the world. So please, the government have got to stop stripping it, and they should be nurturing it and investing money into it. It's ours, it's the people's, it's the best thing in the world. Let's nurture it and look after it.
Stafford Hospital has faced controversy for years, accused of appalling standards of care in the past, resulting in many deaths. But the Support Stafford Hospital campaigners say its poor record has been vastly exaggerated. They love the hospital and oppose the prospect of services moving out of town.
I'm camping out for the sake of the mums and the babies and the people of Stafford. Stafford and surround really need this hospital.
I want a hospital here for my grandchildren to attend, not have to go up to Stoke-on-Trent. Well, let's face it, at the moment, patients are going up there and being turned away because there are no beds. Well, what's the point of that? All that travelling. Then people could die. And it's just absolutely disgusting.
My mother was ill in the hospital here, and I found that the staff looked after her very well, and we just want to campaign to keep the hospital open so that they can continue with the good work they have done in the past.
It saved my life, really. I've been here for 14 years and I wouldn't be here without it.
There was a few tents, and almost by the day it's growing. You know, we're getting more and more people, and people coming in, nip home for a shower in the morning, go to work and come back at night and stay the night again. And this is happening over and over again.
To be honest, it's a bit like sort of coming back to an extended family when you get back from work of an evening. I'm a little bit different. I work in nightclubs, so I'm kind of the other way round to them. I tend to be here more during the day, and then there's nights obviously when I can't be here. But so we've turned into, I guess you could call us a big sort of family.
How long do you think you're going to be here for?
For as long as it takes.
It's so important that this place stays open with the services that they're trying to take away left here. It's just essential.
The chief executive of the hospital trust says she respects the rights of campaigners to express their views on the future of services. She says she's had reassurances from the organisers there'll be no disruption to patients or visitors. But they could be here a long time. They're making plans for a Christmas tree. Keith Wilkinson, ITV News at Stafford Hospital.
One of Britain's most iconic brands, Royal Crown Derby, is stopping production of its fine bone china for 3 weeks. The company's owners, Steelite International, who are based in Stoke, say the stoppage is necessary to cut costs and ensure the business is fit for the future. Workers who have been on a 4-day week since 2009 will continue to be paid. Steelite say the break in production will help them fulfil their promise to restore the 5-day week as soon as possible.
Now, Hereford United is on the brink of going out of business after tax officials rejected their latest proposed attempt at repaying the £170,000 debt. The club faces a winding up order on September the 1st, and unless it can attract new investment before then, is likely to be liquidated.
Our sports correspondent Steve Clamp joins us. So another dark day then for the club, Steve.
Yes, indeed. As you said, the club had tried to find a way to pay its debts. You mentioned £170,000. That was just the tax man. The debts outstanding to other people. They wanted to try and do it through a company voluntary arrangement, but that needed the agreement of the bulk of the club's creditors and couldn't be reached. It's been a tough time for the club. In June, they were expelled from the football conference for failing to pay their bills. However, speaking to Andy Bevan earlier today, the administrator told us that the club had an offer of £250,000 sponsorship deal on the table, but the creditors turned down the chance to potentially save the club in the short term.
I think the problem is that some of the creditors didn't actually believe the cash flows. They included amounts, for instance, £250,000 worth of sponsorship coming in. People didn't think anyone would actually want to bring that amount of money into Hereford United, or perhaps Hereford. I actually saw a letter that said that that money was available.
Well, of course, it is very sad times for the fans. We recently filmed this march by them, which showed their fears for the death of the club. Well, today, Martin Watson from the Supporters Trust told us he thinks even if the club itself goes, football will remain a big part of Hereford.
This season, I can't see a way that the football club's going to continue, but I can see there being a Hereford club supported by the Hereford United fans for next season if the current club folds, and I can see that building. There's a groundswell of support already. You know, people want to watch football. It's simple as that.
Steve, people want to watch football in Hereford. The question is where they're going to be watching it, because a lot of the fans will be worried tonight that that ground will be bulldozed and turned into housing.
Well, yeah, a prime position, isn't it? You can imagine it's got a lot of value as a property proposal. Well, today we were told, assured that the ground would not be used to build homes.
I think that's ridiculous. There is plans for development down the bottom end of the car park. Nothing, no plans for development of the football club whatsoever.
So no plans to turn it into a building site, but unless a lot of money suddenly turns up by September the 1st, it really does not look good for any kind of future for Hereford United.
OK, Steve, for the time being, on that depressing note, thank you very much. Now, it is that time of year again. Music and party lovers are heading to Staffordshire in their thousands for the V Festival, ready to see big artists like Justin Timberlake, I've heard of him, The Killers, heard of them, and Lily Allen, she's brilliant.
Well done. Over the weekend, 90,000 people are expected at the event, and organisers are putting the finishing touches to make this year's bigger than ever. Lee Comley had a look behind the scenes.
The tents are up, the wellies are on, and the prep backstage continues as the V Festival takes over part of the Staffordshire countryside once again. The journey for many started this morning as they arrived in Stafford and caught the special buses laid on to take them to their home for the next few days.
We've come a couple of times before, haven't we? Yeah. But like Georgie's come every year, and then we came last time like 3 years ago, so we decided to come back. We love it. Because we love it, yeah.
As well, so we thought.
Yeah, it's a
It's
good one
near
to go
home
to.
as well, really,
Near home
isn't
as
it?
well.
Yeah,
This is a good one to go to first, and next year, hopefully Glastonbury. We'll get to that one.
And it's not just the tens of thousands who've arrived today who are excited, local businesses are too. The festival's estimated to bring in around £6 million to the local area.
One of the biggest festivals in Staffordshire or close to Staffordshire. In terms of Staffordshire, it brings in, we've calculated in the region of £6 million to the local economy. That's money that's spent locally, and we have 85,000 visitors who, again, we can see here, coming into our beautiful county, and we welcome them.
The main stage and arenas are empty today as those behind the scenes get ready to welcome world-famous artists like Justin Timberlake and The Killers. Organisers say the crowd might be a bit different this year.
We're quite a young audience in here this year from what we can see so far, but yeah, the line has gone down well. We've got a good broad mix of different types of music across all 4 music stages and obviously the comedy stage.
I would love to see Lily Allen. What about you? Sheeran. Yeah. Axwell. Yeah. Axwell.
How are you finding it so far?
Okay, it was quite an easy one in this year.
We're just going to get a blow up bed.
See Above and Beyond.
And also, yeah. Enjoy the music, yeah, in the sun.
How are you finding it so far?
Yeah, it's pretty good. We only just arrived, so see how it goes.
The party's already started for the 20,000 or so who are already here, but the main event and the music kicks off tomorrow. Lee Comley, ITV News.